and welcome back to another video. This week I wanted to share 3 tips with you that will support your selfish era. And when I say selfish era, I mean a healthy selfish era. Right now our world is going so fast. There's so much knowledge and information and social media, and everything is just changing so fast. But I think sometimes we don't have the chance to stop and think and really get a pulse of how we're feeling. Whether that's, physically, mentally, spiritually, all of those, different areas of how you're feeling. And so I really wanted to make this video really to give you a sign, if nothing else, to really help you understand how important it is to create your soft era, your selfish era, your healthy selfish era. Because if not, if you start trying to pour from an empty cup and you're depleted and empty, you cannot give your best self to your friends and your family and your loved ones, or even your work or your hobbies. And so the first thing and the first priority that you should have in your life is you. You are the only one who can save you. You are the only one who can create a balanced life, if whatever that balance looks like for you, because everyone has a different definition of what balance looks like, of what success looks like. And if that is something that you haven't really been thinking about lately, or thinking that you should prioritize yourself, then this video is here to kind of give you that nudge to tell you to make a plan and really start thinking about, what does that look like? What does my healthy, selfish era, soft era look like for me? I can think back to 2016 when I realized for myself that it was so important to create a healthy, selfish era, or soft era, however you want to recognize that or identify that era for yourself. In 2016, I had surgery to remove my fibroid. So for me, it really wasn't about suffering from the symptoms of heavy bleeding and the other symptoms that normally come with fibroids. For me, it was just the simple fact that one of my fibroids had grown so large to the size of a grapefruit that it was protruding my stomach, and it looked like I was having a baby. And I just really wanted to correct that. And so I decided to have a myomectomy, where they did not fully cut me going across, the bottom of my uterus. I have 4 insertions where the doctor used his tools to remove those fibroids that they could see. So I still have fibroids, the ones that were the size of blueberries. Those are still in there. If I'm not mistaken, there's still 2 in there, if no more have grown. However, I still don't have those symptoms that I suffer from as far as fibroids are concerned. And then a couple of years later, I found out that I had polyps. So for those, I had those removed, because if I wanted to think about the future of having a child, there was no way that I was going to get pregnant naturally if I did not have those removed. So I went ahead and had that surgery as well. However, this is really not what the video is about, to give you, my background as far as my health was concerned. However, back in 2016, when I was 31 years old, that's when it really hit me. If you don't take care of yourself and you start letting yourself deplete, then no one is really putting you at the top of their priority list. They are putting themselves at the top of their own priority list to take care of. So it's totally up to you. What really hit home for me is that, I had this particular friend circle where I have bridesmaids dresses. I, have bought all of these baby shower gifts. I was always going to a wedding. I was always flying here or flying there to support this friend or support that friend for their birthday dinner, and, all of these events, these milestone events that my friends were having. And when it came my turn, where although it wasn't a wedding or a baby shower or anything like that, I had really, I had what I would have considered a major surgery. And out of that whole friend group that I had, only one of them had really called to check on me and had come to visit me in the hospital. It wasn't until maybe 6 weeks later when they started to kind of come back around and call and was like, oh, well, how are you doing? And I'm like, Well, I haven't talked to you in a month. Did you realize that I had surgery? And, that's another story for another time. However, it was just really at that moment where I realized, hey, I'm sitting in this hospital bed and, no one that I felt that I cared about at the time or had some type of friendship or relationship with at the time, no one really cared to check on me to see if I was even still breathing or even woke up from the anesthesia of the surgery. And that is the specific time I said, you have got to create a self routine, a self-care, a selfish routine, a soft era routine for yourself. Prioritize yourself, and everything else is going to freely grow and flow from that. So I say all of that to give you the foundation of what I feel these 3 tips are really built upon. So the foundation of really creating a healthy, selfish era for yourself is really to get your health checks and to really start thinking about calendar blocks. Now, here are some recommendations for you when you're really thinking about what I need to be thinking about as far as my health is concerned. So I shared my story of having fibroids with you because that was really the beginning point of me really carving out time, blocking out time to really understand what does a successful selfish era look like for me. So I really, of course, took my annual exams very seriously because cervical cancer runs in my family, fibroids runs in my family. All of that is hereditary for me. So when it came time to go to the gynecologist or anything like that, I was not playing about that at all because I wanted to make sure that I could understand and have some sense of detecting any type of sickness that I had going on, and so that I could manage my health. And so, you see all of these different examples, knowing what your blood pressure is, having going to the dentist, going to the eye doctor, making sure all of those different functions of your health are doing what they are supposed to do. And if you need some assistance with medicine or some other type of support, then you know that you're able to create a plan and really go through with that plan for yourself. Once I had that surgery to have my fibroids removed, it was really like it unlocked something in me. Although I was 31 at the time, I really started to make sure I was looking into all of the different things of understanding my health. And so I ended up going to the orthodontist. I was an adult that wore braces, which I feel was the best thing that I could have ever done, because once my teeth got straightened, I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize that my teeth were, that crooked. Understanding, going to the optometrist, getting my glasses, started to really push me to realize that in order for me to be the best person for myself, for others around me in my life, for my friends, for my family, for my loved ones, for any type of relationships, I had to really ensure that I was healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, all of those different areas. So that is one basis of it. And then the other basis is really understanding how to block off your calendar. Everyone has the same 24 hours of the day. It really is just about how you plan out your 24 hours of the day. And so, of course, so much of that time has to be given to work so that you're able to make money to support you and your family or yourself. So much of that time can be spent however you see fit to spend. But the one good thing about really learning to block off your calendar, which you see an example here, is really to put in that time where you're able to make these appointments, and then not just able to make these appointments and understand if you do have some detection of sickness or other diagnosis, that you're able to make sure that your life supports the healing process to those particular, diagnoses. And so these are my 3 tips in really understanding and creating a healthy, selfish era for yourself. And so tip number 1 is to do a regular brain dump. Tip number 2 are really find ways to reconnect with yourself daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. And then tip number 3 is to always find specific points in time to refresh your routine. And so all of these tips really can work interchangeably. They don't necessarily have to go in that order. But the one reason I said that doing a regular brain dump, really getting out all of those thoughts and emotions that you feel, is because sometimes we don't even know what's vexing our spirit. We don't even know what we might be upset about, or what we might be angry about, or what we inadvertently want to change in our life, but it's subconscious for us. So I'm like one of those people that either likes to do like a vision board journal, which I've shared a YouTube video about that, but I really like to do video journaling because it's quick and it's easy, and I just pull out my cell phone, sit it on the dashboard or wherever I am, and then I start recording myself and I just start talking. I just start talking as if I'm talking to a therapist or somebody, just a friend on the other end. But the thing about it is, once I start getting those, daily riffs of what's happening, what do I want to see more in my life, what's bothering me, once I go back and watch that video, then I can start to really kind of do a little self-reflection or self-judgment of myself to really see, well, what do I keep talking about? What points do I keep bringing up? Because if you keep bringing up some of the same points of, you may want to lose some weight, you may want to really start new hobbies, you really might want to start making new friends, or getting out a little bit more, or finding time to stay home. All of those different topics that you see yourself talking about all the time, that's really what you need to start writing down and creating some type of 3-step plan of how you want to go about changing that. So I do that regularly, where if I'm just kind of feeling like I'm in a tiff and I really don't trust someone to share my emotions, I just get out and do a video journal, and it really kind of helps me to help myself. All of those different things that you're talking about in your regular brain dump, those are your notes of, okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to start organizing my time? What appointments do I need to make? What do I need to follow up on? That is the purpose of doing a regular brain dump. Once you start doing that regular brain dump and really getting your emotions out, really understanding what you need to kind of prioritize in your life, then that's when you need to find time to reconnect with yourself. Daily, monthly, weekly, yearly, however you all want, however you see fit to do it. One thing that I do know for myself, it can be, something so small, or if you want to make it something large, that's the beauty of it. It's your schedule, it's your time. When you block off this time, that's the activity that you are creating time for. So one way that I just really like to connect with myself on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, I just like to go to Publix and look at fresh flowers and pick fresh flowers so that I have those in my apartment. I don't necessarily wait on someone to provide me flowers, because flowers in my immediate environment really just brighten my spirit. They brighten the room. They really just improve the environment for me. So that's one thing that I do. On Fridays, I take myself out to lunch, and I always try to find a new restaurant. You may have seen, if you are one of my subscribers, you may have seen how I do post some in my community posts. I post some of the pictures where I take myself out to lunch on Fridays. And that's one way I reconnect with myself, because during that lunchtime with myself, I'm always kind of questioning, okay, Charmaine, what should you be doing now? What do you want to use your time over the weekend for that's really going to help boost you for the week? What's something that you're thinking about that you need to change at work? That's when I just reconnect with myself to think, what do I want more of in my life? What do I want less in my life? And how am I going to do that? The reconnection with yourself, weekly, monthly, yearly, however you want to put that, is totally specific to you. But if that's something where you decide, hey, I want to block off this time to get my nails done, or get a manicure, pedicure, that's when I get my hair done. I don't know about for you. I started to do all of those things at home for myself, but I still block that time off on my calendar, because On Sundays, that is my time I do my facial treatments, which I've shared that video with you. Sundays are my time when I do my hair, whether it's sitting under the steamer, doing a face steamer, a hair steamer, whether I polish my nails, however that self-care comes in, but anything that's going to make sure that you are reconnecting with yourself, finding that space to really ask yourself internally, what do I want more in my life? What do I want less in my life? And how am I going to get there? And then the last thing is always look for ways to refresh your routine. For me, I am really getting back into the habit of working out. Having your routine of how you're going to achieve something is going to be so important. And so that might look different, where for me right now, I'm really trying to insert a consistent workout routine. So I have shared a YouTube video about that as well, where sometimes of the week I might stay home and work out and walk on my treadmill at home. Other times I really feel like I need some sunlight or some, fresh air in my life. So I might go to the Beltline in Atlanta and walk, or, it just really kind of all depends. Or I've gotten back on my bicycle and started cycling again. So it really all just depends, where refreshing your routine really helps you not to get in just this plateau of, I wake up, I make breakfast, maybe I don't have breakfast, I go to work, I come home, I watch my, videos, or watch my whatever show I want to watch, and then I go to bed. It really kind of helps to break out that monotony and really start to look at your routine and add in the things that are going to serve you, that are going to feed your spirit, that are going to feed you emotionally and physically, because that's really what I think a healthy selfish era is all about. Really finding time, creating time, being intentional about your time, carving out your time to really feed yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And once you have a way of really getting those type of nutrients in yourself, in your mind, in your body, then that's when the power of no becomes really real. Because a lot of times we hear about the power of saying no and not really overexerting yourself, but that takes practice to do. And a lot of times, if you're not pouring into yourself or finding time to pour into yourself, it really does become hard to say no. And so once you are really creating this time to do this regular brain dump, finding time to reconnect with yourself and refreshing your routine, that's when the power of no becomes really possible, because you can say no, be confident in that no, and maybe you can find time in your schedule to say a yes. But if it's a no, it's just a no. So I really hope that you take these 3 tips, really think about what your healthy selfish era looks like for you. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.